Hey everybody, it's me, Amanda, with Once in a Wild, and I'm happy to see everybody here. So far, I have a couple of watchers, and we're just getting started. It is 3:30, and happy Friday to everybody. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope you're getting ready for your weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun today. We do have 3 amazing animals to meet as usual, and this is Once in a Wild. If you've never been here before, my name is Amanda. Our company is Once in a Wild. We are a mobile zoo or animal outreach company, which means we normally bring the zoo to you. Today, we're bringing the zoo to you virtually, of course, through our live stream. We do have regularly scheduled live stream programs right now on Mondays and Fridays at 3:30 p.m. Central. Now, just a heads up for all of you regulars out there, we will make sure to announce this, but we are getting ready for a schedule change coming up very, very soon. So please stay tuned. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube, because that's where we're going to always be live streaming when we live stream. So that'll tell you the latest and greatest things that are going on with our company. We are getting ready also to hopefully open up back in society soon, which is really, really exciting, right? We're thinking maybe the end of June. So stay tuned, cross your fingers for us. Hopefully everything continues to get better and we can start doing small family programs at the end of June. So let me know if you're interested in scheduling a program in June or July, maybe August, and so forth. We normally do in-person animal programs, so we'd love to see you guys in person. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started with our live stream animal program as always. And hello to all of you chiming in already. Let me see here. We're going to go ahead and change some things around right here on my screen so we can get started. As always, our programs are free of charge here on live stream, and we greatly appreciate everybody's participation and all of our followers for following us as always, and all of our friends and family too for chiming in. Make sure to tag your animal-loving friends. Let me know your questions and comments down below in, type in your comments. That helps us out a lot. Believe it or not, that helps us out a ton. Just tagging your friends, sharing our videos, following us on social media. We do have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, so many things. So follow us all over the place. You can find all those links, I believe, on onceinawilds.com. Now, these shows are free of charge. Our live streams are always free, but we do appreciate donations. If you have it in your heart to do so and you have the means, you can donate in a couple of ways. One is directly donating a price of your, or a donation of your choice, an amount of your choice, to a couple of different apps. One is Venmo at Once in a Wild, and the last 4 of our phone number, if it asks, are 5240. And the other way is through the Cash app, which is $ at Once in a Wild, $ Once in a Wild. They do $ instead of at, which I think is funny, kind of unique. And then you can also donate to our Amazon wish list. Our Amazon wish list is, I believe, found on almost all of our social media, but you can also easily go to onceinawilds.com and scroll down to the bottom and click that donate to Amazon button. Easy as that. And then you can go to our Amazon wish list and pick out some items for the animals, go shopping for us, and send it to our door, which is really, really, really appreciated. Thank you guys so much ahead of time. We are getting ready to begin. Let's go ahead and share our commercial. We are still offering our Zoom room animal encounters, of course. That's one of our newest endeavors. We don't just do animal programs in person. We also do virtual animal programs that are customizable. We've done several classroom programs, birthday parties, office parties, all kinds of really fun things. Our commercial here is going to tell you all about that. Let me go ahead and share that with you really fast. That'll explain everything you need to know. And let's do that to begin. Stuck in the house with nothing to do? Did your students miss their fun field trip that was planned for them? Are you looking for a fun team building activity for your employees that are stuck in the house with the same old Zoom meetings from day in and day out? Was your child's birthday party canceled this year because you're stuck in quarantine? Well, then we got the solution for you. Our Zoom room animal encounters are a great solution for you. In Zoom room virtual animal encounters, we can bring the zoo to you, but from the safety of your own home. They are fully customizable, and you can invite all your friends to join in and meet all the animals. They are fun, unique, and very interactive. It's also a great learning opportunity. And most of all, it's very, very simple. Just contact us to book your appointment and schedule your Zoom room. Then select the animals you would like to attend in your Zoom room animal encounter, and then send the link to all of your friends and family who are invited to the Zoom room that we provide to your email. And best of all, we can bring the animals to anyone, anywhere, all over the world. So visit us at onceinawilds.com or call us today. We can't wait to see you. Yes, indeed. Those have been a lot of fun, and we greatly appreciate everybody who has already booked a Zoom. And we look forward to hearing from you guys with scheduling your Zoom room or your in-person animal encounter, and let us know anything else that we can help you with regarding our animals. So without further ado, let's go ahead and meet our first animal. This is Felix, and Felix is a leopard gecko. Leopard geckos are very, very popular, actually pet geckos, because they are very cute. They're pretty easy to care for. I can tell you guys all about that here in a little bit. And they're very docile. And a lot of geckos are very, very fast. And these guys can run a little bit, but they're not known for their like speedy skills, like some of the geckos that climb up walls and things. This species in the natural world is found in India, Pakistan, Iraq, Iran, and India, Pakistan, Iraq, Iran. I think that's it. All those countries, I'm sure surrounding areas as well. They are semi-desert and scrub, kind of drier areas, but they do go through a little bit of seasonal change as well, and they do have varying kind of course, temperatures and different variations of habitats that they might live in. But for the most part, a pretty dry weather species, which makes them pretty easy to care for. Leopard geckos are carnivores. They're not omnivores like some other geckos, like crested geckos, for example, are omnivores. Those guys eat nectar and things as well as insects. But this type of gecko is a carnivore and only eats insects, and that makes it an insectivore as well, right? Specifically, they eat bugs, so we call that an insectivore. Now, some types of bugs that Felix likes to eat here once in a while are things like dubia roaches, mealworms, waxworms. Sometimes waxworms can be kind of fatty as more of a treat item. And also he gets crickets. For our crickets, we always recommend gut loading your crickets, which means feeding your crickets before you feed them out to your animals, because we want to make sure that those crickets have enough how do I put it? There's something in their gut that actually has nutrition. So crickets, if you don't know, are actually pretty low in nutrition if you don't feed them correctly. So there's a lot of research to be done on that. Better food items are things like mealworms and dubia roaches for this specific species of leopard gecko. And let me know if you guys have any other questions about their care. It is always important as well to dust your crickets and mealworms and dubia roaches and waxworms, whatever you're feeding them. It's really important to dust them with calcium, and to also give them multivitamins about once a week as well. Pretty cool. These guys are called the leopard gecko for obvious reasons. They are spotted like a leopard. Now, he is not the 100% natural color that they would be in the wild. Out there in nature, they would be totally covered in spots, and they wouldn't be nearly as yellow as he is. Leopard geckos have been bred in the care of humans for many, many different colorations. There's even pure white leopard geckos. There are spotless leopard geckos. There's all kinds of colors. So he's sort of close to the natural color, being that he is covered in spots, but all these sparse areas that would show a lot of yellow here on him, those would be covered in spots, and he would be a little less yellow, more tan or brown. And that makes sense, right? Because he would be more camouflaged that way, just like the leopard that he's named after. That cat in nature has its spots for camouflage too. Now, just like a leopard, this is also an ambush predator. They can actively hunt. They don't sit still and just sit still and then wait for their food to come to them like some other animals that you think of as an ambush predator, like a ball python is a good example of an ambush predator that doesn't really move very much. These guys are still an ambush predator sometimes. They might hide behind a bush or a tree, a fallen tree limb or something on the ground. They don't really climb. So they're going to be on the ground kind of looking around, and they might visually see a bug run by, and then that bug did not see them because they have all these spots, for camouflage, right? To hide in nature. Naturally, the more spots and kind of varied pattern on your body, the more likely you are going to blend in, as long as it's natural coloration, right? Pretty cool. Because most things in nature are not just like one solid color. There's shadows and things in nature, right? You can see how he walks a little bit. But he would kind of stalk his prey, kind of like a leopard does. Which is very, very interesting because a leopard's going to use their spots in a similar way to stay hidden until they pounce on their prey, right? So this guy's going to do a similar thing as well. He's just going to be pouncing on bugs and things like that, insects, spiders, maybe even scorpions sometimes, depending on what's out there. They're going to be opportunistic when it comes to that. He's ready to go for a cruise around here on this purple table here. Let's see who is chiming in so far. Hello, Donna. Hello. Amanda, it's nice to see you. Thank you for tagging so many friends. Each of you are fantastic as always when you do that. And Virago, is that how you pronounce your name? I don't know if that's your name. She says, wow, I have always wanted a gecko. Leopard geckos are pretty decent pets. You do have to provide them with some heat. Since they are a nocturnal species, they're not going to bask in the sunlight, but they do need an ambient temperature that is more on the warmer side. And they need an area of their enclosure that's going to be a warm area for them to go kind of rest and digest and things. These guys are reptiles, and they do require a heat source. They're a warmer weather reptile for the most of the year. They do go through temperature changes. But that being said, they do need kind of a heat pad. So depending on the size of your enclosure, you want to use an appropriately heated heat pad on the bottom or on the side. It's always on the outside of the enclosure, not inside with the gecko. It's on against the glass or whatever kind of terrarium you're using. It's usually made for glass, right? But they do need that heat source, but they don't need a basking lamp or any kind of heat from above because these guys are nocturnal. And actually, I believe they've been reclassified as crepuscular. So it's still out at night. So crepuscular technically is still out most of the time when it's dark. So they're not going to be an animal that sunbathes. So crepuscular means they're out mostly at dawn and dusk, but more likely at night than in the daytime. So I do correct myself. But they used to be classified as nocturnal before we could study them more. Isn't that interesting? Sometimes animals are reclassified to different things, depending on how much we study them, which is why it's so important to study animals in the care of humans and in the wild, so we can learn about how to care for them properly. So their life expectancy used to be much shorter in the care of humans. It used to be around 10, and now it's jumped to about 20 to 25 years old. I believe the record was like 26 or something. It's pretty old. So our care has improved vastly by studying the animal and their natural history and what they would naturally need and want in the wild, right? That's very important. But in the care of humans, they don't have to worry about hunting for themselves. They can get food provided to them, right? They don't have to worry about predators. These guys do have quite a few predators out there in the wild. They're not a big gecko. This is about as big as they get. So anything that can eat a small lizard like this would, you know, potentially prey on them in their natural habitat where they live. Things like foxes or cats, wild cats and domestic cats eat these guys. So yeah, pretty cool. But they are a decent pet. They're not too hard to care for if you don't mind feeding them bugs at least 2 or 3 times a week. I usually leave a little bowl in their enclosure that's specially designed for worms not to crawl out. So they have free access to worms if they want to snack on them all week. But typically they get kind of replenished twice a week. And they'll get extra bugs like crickets and dubia roaches, etc., as I have them and as I feed them, you know, a couple times a week. But they kind of always have insects all the time. But they typically eat about 2 or 3 times a week. But he's a good eater. I wish I had brought some worms with me. I didn't think about that. Maybe we'll show you a video next time of him eating. He's a pretty good eater. Now, they are crepuscular, so they're out at night most of the time or dawn and dusk. So he may not eat out here in the light. But what's nice about these guys, like I said, is they don't require any extra lighting because they're not really going to be out in the day. And that is kind of one also negative thing about keeping these guys is you won't really see them that much during the daytime. So, you know, that might be a bummer for some of you guys, depending on your opinion. What else is going on? Dorian and Dasha, nice to see you. And thank you for chiming in. Wonderful. Connie is asking, does the gecko camouflage? Yes. So out there in the wild, like I probably already answered your question already because I just tend to ramble. But these guys are actually not this yellow in the wild. They're going to have many more spots kind of covering their entire body, as you might imagine, all over the place. Now on their ventral or belly side, they're not going to have that many spots. They're going to be pretty much white. See that? It's got a beautiful white belly and white chin. He is so cute. Oh my goodness. I hope he's in focus. Oh my gosh. He's so cute. So these guys have many, many spots on them and usually are covered in spots and are typically tan or brown in the wild instead of this yellow color. So yeah, they use their spots and coloration to camouflage in the shadows where they live in the wild. Very, very good question and good observation. Candace says, I love leopard geckos, and this one is huge too. I know he looks huge on camera. He's not really that big, but he is an adult sized leopard gecko. He's a few years old, but they don't get much bigger than this. They're not an enormous animal. They can easily live in a 20 or 30 gallon their entire life, which is nice. So this type of lizard is a great kind of starter lizard pet. If you're interested in a lizard pet, most reptile enthusiasts do recommend leopard geckos and bearded dragons for kind of a more docile starter pet for a lizard, although they both have requirements that they absolutely need to stay healthy. So it's important to always do your research. Just because an animal is a more appropriate pet doesn't mean they're easy, right? And it doesn't mean they don't have like care requirements that are really important. So it's important to study up. And if you guys have questions, let me know. and I can help you with your animal care. So this is a good question from Candace again. I have a Russian tortoise, very cute, who loves vegetation. Does he eat any green? No, this type of lizard does not eat anything except for other insects and, of course, spiders and worms, etc. So they're eating they're insectivores, so those aren't insects, but but they're all invertebrates. They're invertebrate eaters. They might eat a very, very tiny animal otherwise if they can find a small, tiny, like, baby rodent or something like that, but they're not that large, so they can't really consume anything that's much larger than, like, their head or half their head size. So they tend to stick with insects. But no, they don't actually eat any vegetation in the wild or otherwise. This is a carnivorous critter right here. Good question. Here's a question. If they eat insects, do you keep insects in your house? Yep, I have a lot of insects in my house, usually all the time. We'll have crickets, we'll have dubia roaches, mealworms, earthworms, waxworms, superworms, which are like great big mealworms, all kinds of stuff. So if you want to keep lizards that eat those kinds of things, you're going to have to keep those animals in your house as well and feed them to your animals. Yes, very important. And most of those are live. Some of them are kept in our fridge, and some of them are kept not in the fridge because they don't do well being refrigerated. Might sound weird, but some of the larvae and other animals like mealworms are a great example. They will metamorphosize into a beetle if you don't keep their temperatures down. So you have to kind of slow their growth rate, if that makes sense. So that's one place that we keep them. Isn't that interesting? I know Ricardo just loves worms. I cannot tell you guys enough on how much Ricardo just adores worms, and they're his favorite animal ever. Right. So this leopard gecko is a very, very amazing species. They're actually very, very unique when it comes to being a gecko. You might be thinking, why? They look like your basic gecko. That's what you think of when you think of a gecko. Some people think of a day gecko, which is the green gecko. That's the day gecko. Some people think of a tokay gecko, which is a great giant gecko about 2 or 3 times this size. And the tokay gecko's scientific name is gecko, which is hard to memorize, right? But tokay geckos are, number one, very aggressive, and that's a different species, and they climb walls, right? So we think of geckos like in your house, like Mediterranean house geckos, which, by the way, are an invasive species that lives here in the United States. I don't know if you guys knew that. They are from the Mediterranean. They're from across the world, if you guys are in the US. But we have them as an invasive species. They've come over all the way across the world, usually by human means on boats and on cargo and things like that. That's how a lot of invasive species get here. But those Mediterranean house geckos are not harmful to the environment. So they're one of the few types of invasive species that I recommend just leaving alone. We want to leave them alone. They actually do eat a lot of mosquitoes. They are a very, very beneficial species to have around. All geckos in general are extremely beneficial to humans. They're not harmful as long as you don't grab or pick them up. They will not harm you at all. They are very, very harmless to humans. Most of them are pretty small, although the tokay, like I said, not this species, but the tokay is about 2 or 3 times his size. That's one of the largest gecko species. The largest gecko species, to my knowledge, is the Lechianus gecko, which is a gecko that is another arboreal climbing gecko, but that gecko is huge. Maybe I'll get one of those someday. They're actually very expensive to get from breeders because we want to support breeders and not get them out of the wild, right? Those guys are very expensive, so maybe someday. But Lechianus geckos are really big. But there's all sorts of geckos all over the world, right? You guys have seen geckos before, probably in your own backyard or in your own house. Again, you can leave them alone to help you hunt mosquitoes. That's really helpful. We don't like mosquitoes, right? Because mosquitoes can spread diseases and really annoy us. Flies and things, gnats, all kinds of pesky bugs. Roaches, eat roaches, which is not my favorite animal. Those roaches that I have, their feeders, are very different species than the one I'm talking about. But wild roaches are a little bit icky. But anyway, so these guys, most of those geckos that I just mentioned, the tokay, the Lechianus, crested geckos, all of those are very, very similar. They climb up walls, they climb up trees, and those geckos also don't have any eyelids. But he has eyelids. Did you see him? He's got beautiful eyelids and beautiful eyes. Let's see if you can see him a little bit closer. Maybe I need to adjust my camera. Sometimes our camera doesn't focus on our tiny critters. There he is. He's so cute. I gotta find our focal point here. There we are. So, can you see his eyes? He does have blinking eyelids, just like we can blink, right? He's got a top eyelid and a bottom eyelid, right? And he can blink. You might be thinking, so what? What's the big deal? Most geckos cannot blink. Most geckos This gecko can also gaze in eyeballs if he wants to, but he doesn't have to do that to stay moisturized. He can blink too. He also cannot climb up trees or straight up walls. They are a terrestrial animal. Most geckos are arboreal, meaning that they can climb trees. They live in the tree. They live up on walls. They live everywhere, right? You guys have seen those geckos probably climbing things. Amazing. It's pretty amazing ability. He can kind of sit on my hand like this. I'm not going to let him fall, I hope. But he's not going to have those sticky toe pads that like other geckos have. He just has regular lizard feet. See his little toes? Those toes are great for walking around on land. I'll show you how he walks again. How about that? You want to get up, down and walk for a minute? Show everybody how cute you are? They just walk like that, just on the ground. They're a terrestrial animal, terrestrial on the ground, arboreal in the trees. He can't be in the trees because he can't climb. So that's very, very different than most geckos. And again, he has eyelids. Now, since he's a terrestrial animal, he's on the ground a lot. He's probably dealing with a lot of dust and debris and dirt. Remember, he lives in a slightly drier climate. India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, all those countries have these geckos in that range. And in those countries, there are many different types of environments, but he's going to live more in the drier scrub or deserty type areas or dry forests. So there's going to be a lot of dust and dirt and debris. So it's really handy when you have eyelids, right? If you're dealing with a lot of dust. And they do a lot of digging as well. Since they're on the ground, they might seek shelter by digging in the sand or digging in the soft dirt to make a little kind of tunnel or cave to live in. But usually they're going to be walking around on kind of drier, dusty ground. So that helps to have eyelids, right? Makes sense. But yeah, they're very unique in that they have eyelids and they are not a climbing gecko. So they're a very, very special gecko. A lot of people take them for granted because they think that the every gecko's like that, and they're not. Pretty cool. It's just, I hate cockroaches. I wouldn't want a gecko now. Yeah, unfortunately, you have to kind of have bugs in your house if you want to keep your geckos healthy. And there's no gecko that I can think of that can only eat like nectar or something like that. Almost all of them eat either nectar, fruits, and bugs, or just bugs. So they have to have bugs in their diet at some point to be healthy. All of them do. Sorry about that. Sorry to burst your bubble. It is just the truth. Here's a good question. How long do they live? So these guys used to, in the care of humans, it used to be said that they lived about 10 or 12. But now since care has improved quite a bit over the last like 20 years, these guys can live up to 25. So average is going to be 15 to 20, but you have some record breakers out there. So that is a very long commitment to have these lizards, right? They don't live just like a few years. They live a long time. This tiny little lizard does. Pretty cool. How long is the tongue? Well, it's not like a chameleon. I see you have Michael's picture with you, Amanda. His tongue is very short. It is, I want to say like this long, a couple inches. It's enough to stick out and lick his face. So he can lick his face if he wants to. He doesn't have to lick his eyes like other leopard gecko, other gecko species, not leopard gecko, the other guys. But he has a pretty short tongue. And it's just a regular fleshy tongue, not anything like a chameleon or not a forked tongue either. Good question. Does he have eyelashes? Ricardo is asking. No, they don't have eyelashes. Number one, he's a reptile, so he doesn't have any hair. Reptiles don't have hair, but there is a type of gecko that we have here once in a while. We have a few of those guys, and it does exist. It's called the crested gecko. The other name for the crested gecko is the eyelash gecko. So I see why you asked that. Now, those geckos don't technically have eyelashes either, but they do have little scales on the ridge of their face, kind of over their eyes and kind of like this. You guys will see them maybe in a future program, and you can look it up if you want to. They kind of look like eyelashes. They're like a little ridge, a little crest. That's why they call them the crested gecko or the eyelash gecko. But this type of gecko does not have anything like that. You can see he has kind of solid eyelids, beautiful eyelids. He looks like he's wearing makeup. He's gorgeous. Hello, Daniel. No, he does not have a split tongue like a snake. That is another excellent question. These guys just have a solid, fleshy tongue. It's just a pink tongue with kind of just a little rounded edge to it. These guys don't stick their tongue out a whole lot unless they're eating or cleaning their face. They're not one of those type of lizards that sticks their tongue out excessively to explore, although they will sometimes. Now, that's another case in point to keep them nice and healthy if you have them in human care. It's going to rest my arm somewhere awkwardly here. How about that? have to make sure he's comfortable, make sure I'm comfortable. These guys are, you have to make sure to give them the proper substrate. Now, what do I mean by substrate? Substrate is a fancy word for what you put on the bottom of your animal's habitat. So that could be, for other animals, that could be moss, that could be dirt, that could be mulch, that could be paper towels, that could be nothing. For chameleons, for example, I don't use anything. For axolotls, I don't use anything, because those two animals tend to get impacted very, very easily if they eat something off of the floor of their enclosure. These guys too, they can actually accidentally ingest their substrate or dirt, whatever it is, if they are eating. So if they are eating, we want to feed them out of like a plate or a bowl. But if I have crickets, the crickets won't stay in the bowl. They'll hop right out of there, right? So the crickets will be jumping around all over the place. It's great enrichment for your animals to chase their food. It's very natural for these carnivores to do that sometimes with the crickets. However, we want to make sure that he's not going to be eating something that's unsafe for him. So we use a product called Eco-Earth. Eco-Earth is a very, very natural dirt substrate, which if they accidentally ingest a little bit, it's going to go right through his system and he's just fine. I've never had a problem with Eco-Earth ever in the many, many years of using them with leopard geckos. I don't necessarily recommend Eco-Earth with every animal, although it works for most animals. But animals like bearded dragons, I don't recommend, wow, I don't recommend any loose substrate for those animals. So if you guys ever have questions about animal care, first of all, do your research with somebody that knows and somebody that has experience, like myself. Feel free to text me or call me anytime for your animal questions. Let me see who else has questions. Here's a good question from Candace. Again, thank you so much for all your questions. Very good question and a great segue because I was going to talk about this. So this animal does have quite a few predators. So out there in the wild, they might be preyed upon by cats, by foxes, by birds of prey, etc. All kinds of animals might eat a small lizard like this, as you might imagine. They're not that big. It's about as big as they get. So yes, they actually can do what you just said. She was asking, will his tail fall off if threatened? Yep. So if let's just say a fox grabs this lizard with its mouth, like that. I'm not going to demo, but just imagine I'm a fox. First of all, they're going to stay camouflaged, right? That's the first thing that they're going to try to do is just hide. But if they can't hide and that fox hears them moving around or sees them in the woods or something like that and goes after this leopard gecko, hopefully he's going to get away enough to where it's just the tail getting grabbed. And if the tail gets grabbed, he can lose the tail and then grow it back in a few months or so. It takes a while to grow back. I can't remember how long for this species. Every species is different, and it depends on how much protein he's getting in his diet to be able to grow back. You like the way I'm sitting? Sometimes this is the way it is. But it is definitely better than passing away from predation, right? So that is one really, really kind of special way that they can stay safe. And some of these lizards, like geckos, I believe every single gecko species does this, is they can lose their tail. I believe that's every species. I could be wrong. I don't know about every species in the world because I'm still learning everything all the time, many things all the time. So anyway, but if these guys do get grabbed by the tail, it will come off. When it grows back, it's not going to look as pretty as this. Sorry, buddy, if that happens, it's just not. It's not going to have these beautiful kind of symmetrical ridges that he has. It's going to be like kind of a solid fat portion of the tail wherever it fell off at. How it falls off is they have kind of pre-segmented parts of their spine on their tail that can easily just come off with less pain. I'm sure it hurts a little bit. I don't know. I'm not a lizard. But he doesn't know either because it's never happened to him. But I'm sure it hurts a little bit, but a lot less than it would be if it was just like a dramatic injury like that. It's designed to fall off if needed, and then it grows back. Now, again, that's not ideal for them because it takes them a few months to grow it back, at least, depending on how much protein they're getting and everything and how healthy they are. But it also hurts, and they're going to lose that ability again if it happens again. So they're only going to be able to do that as long as the tail's there. It does grow back on this species. Not every single species of gecko, like the crested gecko we were talking about, actually cannot regrow their tail. So they can only do that one time, which is even more like kind of a bummer. But these guys can regrow the tail and then potentially do it again. Also, they're going to lose some of their fat reserves. You might notice how fat the tail is. It's so fat. That's not an insult. That's the way he's supposed to look. That's how you know your leopard gecko is very, very healthy, is that they have a moderately plump tail, just like this. He is the exact weight that a leopard gecko should be, in my opinion. He's not fat. He's not skinny. He's perfect. You're perfect. Did you hear that? He did. He's got ears. See his beautiful ears? His ears are on the side of his head right here. He's hearing all of y'all's compliments and seeing all of your comments. Check it out. Felix months. So these guys, like I said, they have to regrow the tail, but they're going to lose some of that fat reserve. In the cooler months, in the countries that they're from, in Afghanistan, India, North India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, all those places do have a cold season, and these guys will actually go into hibernation. Now, when we talk about reptiles, we call it vermation, but they're going to go dormant. They're not going to eat for however long that lasts, a few months, I guess, a couple months, few months, whatever it is, depending on the season, I guess, depending on the year. But they're going to survive off of these fat storages in their tail because they're not going to be eating very much during those cold months. Isn't that neat? So they don't necessarily want to lose the tail, but it's better in the moment than getting eaten all the way, right? All right. Candace is also asking, would he be okay if it falls off? Does it grow back? Again, it does grow back, but it's not going to be the same as before. It's not going to look the same. And they don't necessarily like bleed to death because it has, what do you call it? It's hard to explain, but it doesn't bleed out when that happens. It's designed to fall off. And then eventually it grows back. And there's more to be said on the subject, and we can go into more detail in comments if you want to. But yes, he'd be okay. We're not going to demo that. There's no reason for him to go through that traumatic loss. But yes, they typically do survive just fine and grow back the tail. Here's another question. Do they have claws or sharp nails? They do have nails. I wouldn't call them sharp. Can you see his little, well, he's on my finger there. He does have little toes with claws. So yes, he does. But they're not too super sharp. They're just regular lizard nails. They're so small. Not sharp at all. Does it smell? Do you mean does he smell bad? Or does he smell like a sense of smell? I'll answer both. It doesn't smell bad. They do use the restroom, but that barely has a smell at all. It's very, very mild. They do have a sense of smell. I don't know how acute their sense of smell is. I imagine it's decent because they do have a sense of smell. But it's not as good as like a snake, I would say. A snake is probably a little bit more sensitive. That's a good question. All right. Do you guys have any other questions about our leopard gecko? I'm going to check my camera while I'm thinking about it. Our camera, if you haven't seen me before, has a timer on it. And sometimes I let it get away from me. And then I forget to check the timer. Pardon me. I want to make sure that's all good for you guys. And it is wonderful. Well, Felix, you are fantastic. He is such a good leopard gecko. Again, leopard geckos are very docile. They're not all as calm as Felix. They might take a little bit of training and getting used to you. He was a little bit skittish when we first got him, and every single leopard gecko and every single lizard and reptile and animal in general is going to have their own personality, right? So you never know what you are going to get if you happen to get one. I do not recommend getting a leopard gecko from most pet shops. There are a few pet shops that are very responsible with their sources of animals, but we want to make sure do lots of research, not only on your animal's care, but also on where you're sourcing your animal. The best thing to do is support a reputable reptile breeder. And there are many, many leopard gecko breeders that are happy to either ship you a leopard gecko, or you can, once we're back out in society and everything's great, you can go to a reptile expo or show and you can meet all kinds of leopard gecko and other reptile breeders. If you ever need help finding a breeder, please let me know. I do know a lot of people, and there are tons of leopard geckos to choose from. You won't have a problem if you want one. But that is up to you. But I do not recommend just getting one from XYZ pet store without doing some research, okay? We want to make sure and support small businesses anyway that are doing responsible things. The reason that I like to support small business reptile and other animal breeders is because, number one, that's their livelihood. That's what they're relying on to survive, just like us. We're relying on you guys to be able to, for us to survive. We're a small business too. But also, so I have, a little bit of a soft spot for those guys. But I also want to encourage you guys to never seek out reptiles that are brought in from the wild, because number one, they're not going to be a very good pet. They're going to be likely pretty unhealthy, not going to live as long. They might be a little cheaper, but trust me, it's a lot better to get yourself a what we call captive bred animal. So we want to make sure we're not taking animals out from the wild and taking away from that population in the wild. Leopard geckos, there's absolutely no reason to take them out of the wild anymore whatsoever, because there's tons of them, like I said, in the care of humans. But you want to have the healthiest animal you can, right? And support small businesses. So that's the right thing to do. All right, Felix, you've been fantastic. If you guys have other questions about him, feel free to chime in and I will answer those questions. And we'll move on to our second animal species in the meantime. How about that? I'm going to let him rest down below and get situated really fast. I'm going to dip out just a moment and get this platform ready for our second animal species. So please bear with me. I shall return. Okay, guys, let's see if you guys can see them. Sometimes you set everything up with great intentions and it just doesn't go the way you planned. Let's scoot you over there, buddy. We have two really beautiful guinea pigs to meet you guys today. Oh, I went the wrong direction. This direction is where I need to go. Oh my goodness. There we go. We've got two cutie pies for you guys today, don't we? This way, this way, this way. There we go. I got them a little pillow to sit on because they're really comfortable sitting on these little pillows and things. Haha. Okay, so here we have a Peruvian guinea pig, and his name is Iggy. Iggy the piggy. And we have an American guinea pig who is all solid black. He is so pretty. His name is Dexter. Let's go ahead and feed them a couple of treats for being out here and being so cute. What do you think? You guys want your treats? Yum. I bet they do. If you guys don't know, guinea pigs are vegetarians. They eat fruits and vegetables and no meat. So we talked about the Crested Gecko, or sorry, the Leopard Gecko and Crested Gecko. Those guys both eat insects, so they're insectivores. And Crested Geckos would eat fruit and nectar, but the Leopard Gecko does not, so that does not apply. Those guys are carnivores, and these guys are herbivores. Pretty cool. So cute. Oh yeah, they come towards me. That's how you can see them better. Perfect. So again, these two are two of our guinea pigs. We do have 4 guinea pigs here at Once in a While, and they do participate in our animal therapy programs once we're doing animal therapy in person once again. But if you want a virtual animal therapy session, please let me know. We'd love to help you with a Zoom. But again, we'll be back in regular programs pretty soon. Before you know it, we'll be back in society, I think. But we are going to have to ease back into our animal therapy because it is much more hands-on, as you might imagine. It involves holding and touching the animals and us helping you with the animals. That's maybe a little bit of a wait for traditional animal therapy. But these animals are trained for animal therapy. They're very good at sitting on laps of children and adults alike in all ages. Looks like Iggy wants to be the center of attention. Here, what if I give you some greens over here? I bet you would like that. Do you want more salad? But these are 2 different breeds of guinea pig. Now, guinea pig were domesticated about 3,500 years ago or more. It might be more. I might be wrong. But that is what I just researched a second ago. I always tend to, numbers are not my strong point, so I tend to kind of remind myself some of the number facts about the animals. But they were domesticated a long time ago. And how they became domesticated was by the Incas over in South America, because this is a South American species originally. They come from what we call the cavy, which is a wild rodent out there in South America. They look just like a guinea pig, except their ears are more upright. They have an agouti coloration, which is brown and black, kind of mixed together. Very, very appropriate for camouflage. They have longer legs than a domestic guinea pig. And they're much more, not suited for pets, obviously, because they're a wild animal. But a long, long time ago, thousands of years ago, the Incas actually domesticated the cavy. They called them cuy, and the cuy were actually domesticated for food. And they are still eaten in Peru, I believe. I was told by some Peruvians out there that they are still eaten to this day. So they are a food animal, just like rabbits and pigs and chickens and things. But I guess they realized that they were actually very easy to raise and keep, and therefore great animal companions. So they are a farmed animal. They can live on little farms. They do live in groups. They're very, very social. And a group of guinea pigs is called a herd. Isn't that funny? So it's like a herd of whatever, a herd of horses, herd of guinea pigs. Male guinea pigs, like these 2 boys here, are called boars. We have 4 boars here at Once in a While. We have Iggy, Dexter, Billy Joe, and Noodles. And when you are a female guinea pig, you're known as a sow. They're just like pigs. Haha, those are cute little fur balls. Thank you very much. And yes, many people do have guinea pigs. Guinea pigs are excellent pets. I do recommend them for pets. They're very, very social. They do take a little bit of training to get used to being handled. Sometimes guinea pigs don't like to be picked up. Iggy is very, very, very docile when it comes to being picked up. Dexter's still learning, but once he is kind of with you, he's perfectly fine. He's very, very good at sitting in laps and just being loved on, etc. I know I'm making you guys work a little bit because this mat is not just like a flat surface. You have to find your food. Look at that. They're eating the greens off of the bath mat here. This is just a fancy bath mat that we use for our animal. But they're very, very, they're They're a separate species altogether now than their wild cousins, the cavies. In fact, that cavy that they came from originally, there's several species of cavy and many species of rodents that live in South America, but that original species where the domestic guinea pig comes from is no longer in existence, which I find a little bit sad. But that was many, many years ago. And but there are similar ones out there. But my point is that these guys are a totally different species now because they have been domesticated over thousands of years. So they are domesticated. They're very suitable to live with humans. They do well in pairs or more. They are very social. I do not recommend having a single guinea pig. They will be very, very lonely, even if you give them all your attention, which you can't give them all your attention. Let's just be real. Please don't jump off the cliff. Hi, buddy. So these guys are very social with humans and each other. I know his hair is so funny. But yeah, they're great pets. They are not low maintenance pets. Sorry, they are not. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I was right. They are not low maintenance pets. They are high maintenance pets. I would say these guys are one of the most high maintenance animals that I have. And you might be like, what? Out of all the zoo animals that you guys have, the guinea pigs are the highest maintenance? Yep. These guys are rodents and they poop quite a bit. They pee quite a bit. They take a lot of cleanup. They have to have constant hay 24/7. They need Timothy hay to be grazing on all the time. Their diet should be about 80 to 90% Timothy hay. And the rest of their diet is some of these pellets that I'm showing you. I'm giving them some pellets they get and some greens. So they can have greens and pellets. That'll be the rest of the 10 to 15% or so of their diet. Hello, son. And but these guys are very social. They're very sweet. And they don't really bite. They can bite. They have a mouthful of teeth. But they're not inclined to bite. They're not an animal that's known for biting. They're very cute. They are in the rodent family, though. Rodents have ever-growing incisors. These are my incisors. Right here, these front teeth. And down here, these lower teeth. Rodents have 2 top incisors and 2 bottom incisors that never stop growing their whole life. They have to wear their teeth down, mostly by eating hay. Hay is going to be the main way that they keep their teeth healthy. And the other way is by chewing on fun things like wood. And in the wild, they might even chew on all kinds of things to keep their teeth worn down. If they don't wear down their teeth to the appropriate length, they might actually keep growing and then grow crooked outside of their mouth and just not be good for them, right? You guys just want more snacks. I see what it is. You guys can tell this is the domestic species. They're very, very inclined to seek out people for attention. They even make purring noises. You hear his purring noises? Iggy really likes pets. Dexter is much younger than Iggy. I say much, but by a couple of years. I believe Iggy is around 2 now, and Dexter's going to be a year old in November, I believe. Birthday's coming up in November. Well, not yet, but it's going to be a while. So Dexter's still learning, and but he's doing really well. Now, what questions do you guys have or comments about our guinea pigs here? Let's see. Let me get my hair situated too, not just Iggy, but my hair is crazy today. Okay, let me see. Here's a good question. Why does Iggy have so much hair? Iggy is a Peruvian guinea pig, and Dexter is a American guinea pig. So American guinea pigs have short hair. You might have also seen something called an Abyssinian guinea pig. Those guys have the kind of crazy mohawk and all kinds of rosettes all over them that makes their hair stick out in different directions, like they're wearing hair gel. Those guys are cool. We have 2 of those too. So the other 2 guinea pigs I listed, those guys are brothers, and they're actually Abyssinians. He's a Peruvian guinea pig. He's just a special breed that has the long hair. That's what they're mostly known for. I highly recommend the Peruvian guinea pigs because, in my opinion, they are the sweetest and most cuddly of all the guinea pig breeds that I have experience with. The Americans tend to be very sweet too. You guys are not in frame. Maybe 2 guinea pigs was too many for our camera to see. There we go. We're doing our best out here. Sometimes it's a challenge. But yeah, that's why he has the long hair. Peruvian guinea pigs and American guinea pigs come in all different kinds of colors. When they have the white like this, they're called broken colored. And when they are solid like this, they're called self-colored. So it's just by itself. Isn't that cool? And but the long hair is a feature of all of the Peruvian guinea pigs. There's even what we call a skinny pig that has no hair, except for like a little bit on their face and things. Those are like the hairless rats and things like that, which rats are related to guinea pigs too. So yes, that is why he has long hair. He's just a breed of guinea pig that has long hair. Let me see. Who else is chiming in? Hello, everybody. It's so nice to see everyone. Thank you so much for chiming in on our program today. Iggy keeps turning around to see me. He is so cute. They're both so cute, aren't they? Yes, and many people have them. They are excellent pets as long as they are well cared for. They need to be cleaned about once or twice a day, at least, depending on the size of your enclosure. Speaking of the size of your enclosure, these guys do require quite a bit of space. They're very, very active. So you want to have the largest enclosure you can possibly build or have for them. I say build because you're probably going to have to build one. If you need help with that, just let me know and I'll show you how to do it. It's super easy. The cages that you find in a traditional pet store are not big enough for a guinea pig. They might be big enough for like a travel cage if you happen to be one of those people that travels with your animals from time to time. I don't mean like a carrier. I mean like a travel cage if you're going to a hotel or something like that, when we're back out doing that kind of stuff. But those cages are not big enough for guinea pigs. They're not big enough for even one guinea pig. And you should never have one guinea pig. You want to have at least 2 or 3 or more guinea pigs. And you want a lot of space for them that they will utilize because they will use it. They also require a lot of time out with their humans. Okay. Are they related to hamsters? Yes. So hamsters, guinea pigs, rats, mice, porcupines, capybara, all those animals are in the same family, which is the rodent family, right? So rodents are classified by their teeth and a couple of other things, but mostly their teeth. Easy to remember because the word or the partial word dent is in the word rodent. Just like you go to the dentist, rodent, right? That is indicating their teeth that never stop growing in the front. Here's a good question from Connie. Do guinea pigs ever bite? Most guinea pigs do not bite, and they're not inclined to bite. They have a very tiny mouth, so their defense mechanism would be kind of just to run away. But they can bite if they were really, really afraid. That would be the main reason why they would bite. They're not an aggressive animal. If they're more inclined to bite each other, if they're having a scuffle, than to bite a human. But they do have a mouthful of teeth. Typically, they're not going to bite hard. If they bite at all, it might just be like a little warning nibble. So they're much, much more docile than like a hamster or even a rat or something like that. Those guys are much more inclined to bite in my experience than a guinea pig is. They're just going to show you guys their best end, I guess, their best side. They don't just want to face me today, I guess. Okay, so that's a good question, though. It's a very legitimate question. Anything with the mouth can bite you. But like I said, they're not really known for that. Ricky says, do you groom their hair or do they shed their hair? Yes to both. So Iggy gets groomed on a regular basis. As you can see, he is very long haired. So we have to make sure and actually give him baths about, I would say, at least twice a month or so. Maybe 3 times a month. We'll give him a little bath depending on how gross he is. With all this long hair, he tends to get dirtier than Dexter does. Oh my goodness, want more pets? Than Dexter does. Because Dexter has, short hair. Dexter still needs grooming too. In fact, these guys need regular nail trims. You want to be checking their nails to make sure they're not too long and curling around like that. Hi, buddy. See how sweet he is. Look at his mouth. He's got some greens on his chinny chin there. His chin is green from being white with the green mess on his chin. But yeah, they do require baths as well as brushing. I can show you how I brush him. Let me let Dexter hang out down below for just a hot second. And I will show you how I brush. Iggy, would you like to see that? Okay, so I think you would because you asked. So not only do they require nail trims, you're okay, buddy. They have little nails right there, on their little feet. Their feet are very, very cute, and they're very short animals. But they do require some brushing. I'm gonna brush them just a little bit here. So since he has the long, luxurious hair, just like you have, I assume some of you guys have long hair. It's probably very beautiful. It's probably really long right now. Quarantine haircut is like the new thing. Although some of you guys are getting out to get haircuts. I'm so excited for you. But having long hair, he's got to be brushed about once a day, sometimes more, depending on the situation. Of course, I'm brushing him whenever he comes on program too, so he's beautiful for you guys. He's just literally laying here and letting me brush him. He's so good. These guys aren't really inclined to like jump off the table or anything. They're so good. That's what makes them a little bit different than rabbits. Rabbits are great on the ground, and some rabbits don't mind being held. My rabbit does not like to be held, Sandor. But rabbits are a little bit harder. They're great on the ground, but they're a little bit harder, like in this situation, to put them on a tabletop because they tend to want to jump, because rabbits jump. Guinea pigs don't jump. They can hop and skip a little bit, but they have short legs. So their instinct is to run away. Are you okay? Their instinct is to run away when they feel threatened and to hide underneath something. So they're going to want to hide instead of hopping. So they don't really want to like hop off the table, which is nice. But he's literally just sitting here and letting me brush him. But it's really important so he doesn't get tangled up. You can trim the hair too. I tend to just trim it a little bit. That way it stays healthy. just like you need to trim from time to time, right? So yes, they do require a little bit grooming. It's not too bad. And they do really well with baths and things. They're very easy to bathe and handle and everything. They're great. Thank you for saying he's so cute. Here's a good question, a very good question. Can they be in the same room as household animals like dogs or cats? I would say no. So it depends on your dogs or cats, but I would recommend keeping prey animals when you're not supervising them away from predators. So dogs, as much as there are some really, really trustworthy, amazing dogs that would never harm a fly, some cats are like that too. My cat certainly wasn't a hunter when he was still around. He was the best cat ever. He was very sweet, but I still wouldn't really 100% trust him. Cats are amazing predators. Dogs are predators too. So you don't want to leave them like together unsupervised. My dogs are pretty good with the guinea pigs, but I'm never, ever leaving them alone together. And in fact, that's pretty rare they even hang out together. My guinea pigs, rabbits, birds, and hedgehogs, that's everybody, live in their own room separate. And the guinea pig enclosure that I have has no top on it. So I would never recommend having, like, I don't have a cat in the house anymore. He passed away a while ago. But if I did have a cat, I would either shut the door or have a lid on top of the enclosure. But I built their enclosure, it has no lid. These guys don't climb, so they don't need a lid. Unless you have those animals. So I would not recommend having them mingle without some kind of supervision. I wouldn't really recommend little kids with these guys either without supervision because they can be harmed. They are prey animals. They are kind of designed to be food. So they're not like, I mean, they're not super fragile either. Kids are fine to hold them and things, but you want to use your common sense. Prey and predators don't always mix very well. So definitely want to watch that. How do you know when their nails are ready to be cut? So it's just like a cat or a dog's nails. I don't know how much experience you have with that, but they do tend to have clear nails or nails that have a hollow point where you can see where to trim it. It's pretty easy. And if they just start getting a little bit too long, I tend to just keep them nice and short, as short as I can. He doesn't really need a nail trim right now, or else I might demo it for you. They don't super love having their nails done, but they're not that bad. They're actually pretty good about sitting still and having all the grooming done. They're just cute little fuzz balls, aren't they? But that's gonna take a little bit more explanation than I can do right now, but I'm more than willing to help you out if you need help. I'm sure there's all kinds of tutorials online of how to look and see. You can even have your vet, your zoo or exotic vet show you how to do that sort of thing with your animals so you can go home educated, right? So it's really important as well if you ever get an exotic animal, even a guinea pig is not really exotic, but it needs an exotic vet. So that's my point. So it's not a cat or a dog, therefore you're going to have to look for a specialized exotic vet to be able to take care of these guys. You want to have that at all times in case there's an emergency, but you also, anytime that you bring in a new animal companion into your life, you want to make sure and have a vet take a look at them, make sure they're healthy, make sure everything's okay. And if it's your first time owning one of those animals, you want to go over things like grooming and vaccinations if they need them. This sort of species doesn't need vaccination, but animals like ferrets need vaccinations. And if you ever have questions about special care and things like that, it's really important to have a vet and really important to talk to an expert before purchasing a new pet that you've never had before. Does that make sense? Doing a lot of research. There's all kinds of really, really responsible and reputable Facebook groups on Facebook that you guys can join as well. That's how I learned a lot in general about animal care when I was kind of first learning about some of these guys. But of course, I've been working with them as well for a long, long time. But the information does change. He's going to groom himself right now. Information does change over the years, and you want to get the most updated and best information on how to best care for these guys. That make sense? Yeah, there's all kinds of things to learn, isn't there? It's just like dogs and cats. Dogs and cats are domesticated too, and they're great pets, but we want to make sure and take proper care of them and learn all we can before getting one or when we have them. Pretty neat. This is another good question. What is their lifespan? So guinea pigs, when I was first learning about them, it used to be 5 to 7, and now it's around 8 to 10, and the record breaker was 14 and a half. So technically they could live to be 14, but that's very, very rare. That would be like a 110-year-old person. Oh, are you gonna come say hi to me? I think he's grooming me too right now. He's checking out my shirt with his little teeth. He's so cute. You are so cute. It's like, is your shirt food? Food is what he cares about most. I always say all my animals have like their love language. Iggy's love language is definitely snacks. So I'm getting lots of snacks and affection too. I He's pulling on my shirt collar there, trying to check it out. You see that? You can check it out. So cute. These animals do require enrichment, so fun things to do. Like I said, cleaning of their enclosure at least once or twice a day. I do it twice a day because I have 4 of them living together, and they're messy, and they're boys, so they're extra messy. And that is so true. They have to be fed. They have to be all kinds of things. They drink a lot of water. They drink from a water bottle, but their water bottle empties really fast. They drink so much. I'm surprised they can. There's a lot of things to learn. And you're so cute. I don't know if you can hear his noises. Trying to see if he'll purr for you guys. I guess not. Usually he does. He's just content right now, I guess, just to be right there. Here's a question I've never had before about guinea pigs. Can you train them to swim? I wouldn't really try that. I've never seen a guinea pig swim. I bet they could a little bit, but I wouldn't like necessarily train them to swim. I don't think it's the natural behavior of them. That's a good question though, because their close cousin, the capybara, the largest rodent in the world, those guys do swim very well. So something to look up, but I wouldn't necessarily like aspire to train them to swim. It's not necessary. But they do, of course, get baths when they need it. He gets more baths than the rest of the guinea pigs because the rest of them have much shorter hair. He just gets dirtier, faster, but they can all get baths, but not necessarily swimming in deep water or anything like that. I've never had that question before. But yes, their life expectancy now is around, I would say 8 to 10. That would be a pretty old guinea pig. 8-ish is typical. And record breaking, like I said, around 14. Wow, that's amazing. Here's a good question. I believe they are. Just like the leopard gecko, guinea pigs are crepuscular, I believe, in the wild. And again, there are many different species of KVs, is what they're called in the wild. There's like subspecies of them. But the one that these guys came from in the first place is no longer in existence. It went extinct because of, domesticating them out of the wild, and they just disappeared, I guess. But like I said, they are, I believe all the ones that are left are crepuscular, which means they come out at dawn and dusk mostly. And guinea pigs in the care of humans and otherwise are usually awake about 20 hours a day. So they're only sleeping like 4 hours a day. So they're up and down all day long. They're going to adjust to your schedule. Whenever they get their food is when they're going to pop out and say hello and squeal and make all kinds of really cool noises. These guys make a lot of really neat vocalizations. They're one of the most vocal rodents in the world. And you'll really get to know their vocalizations if you have one. They squeal and grunt and purr and do all kinds of things. They're really cool. He's so cute. He's begging for more snacks. His favorite thing ever. But yes, I believe they are crepuscular in the wild. But again, they're sleeping only 4 hours a day. So is that really crepuscular? That's usually for safety reasons. So since they are prey animals, especially in the wild, right? They're going to be leery of predators. So being awake during darker times is going to be safer. That's the reason that they potentially are crepuscular or nocturnal. I'm so glad your daughter likes guinea pigs. Guinea pigs are great pets. I just recommend, of course, a little bit of an older child, unless it's going to be a family pet, and never keep one by itself. You want to have 2 together, but you also want to make sure you're not having a male and a female because these guys will have babies very, very fast. They have babies very young, and it's not good for them to have babies young, right? So you want to make sure and have a pair of the same gender, or you can have male and female that are neutered or spayed, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. But I don't recommend that. 2 males or 2 females is a good way to go. 2 females is actually less drama. Males sometimes get territorial. It's not super common, but sometimes they just can't get along. So if you want just the least drama ever, 2 females is perfect. And again, with the resourcing your animals, you want to find a reputable source, either a guinea pig breeder, or I actually recommend a guinea pig rescue. There are many, many guinea pigs that are taken in, and then people realize these are really high maintenance. I don't have time for this. I don't want this pet anymore. And then they get rid of them. And it's really sad. So many guinea pigs are already out there needing homes. I don't recommend getting a baby guinea pig either because baby guinea pigs are much more skittish than adults. As you can see, Iggy is wonderful. He's an adult guinea pig. He's about 2 years old or so. So I recommend having, for your first guinea pig, if it is your first experience with them, that you get a adult guinea pig, maybe that's already 1 or 2 years old and already used to people and already needs a home. And most rescue resources as well, they will already have pairs and trios that already get along. And so you won't have to worry about any of that. So that's really, really easy. And they'll help you with all your animal care knowledge as well. So it's a win-win. And you're saving a life by adopting instead of shopping, right? But there's also reputable breeders of guinea pigs. Iggy was a rescue, and the other 3 that we have came from very reputable breeders, and again, supporting small businesses and things. So that's what we decided to do. Like I said, they're all great. So we saved Iggy's little life by giving him a home, and feels really good to do that, right? It's the right thing to do. You want more snacks? I think people would like to see you eat snacks. Here. See how gently they take the food? So they do have little teeth in their mouth, of course, little sharp teeth, but they're so gentle when they take food. Look, he's being really, really nice to me. I'm giving him like tiny little pieces of pellets like this, and he's just gingerly taking it out of my fingers. He's so cute and wonderful. How many babies can they have? I can't remember. Guinea pigs have really large babies, so not as many as like a rat or a mouse. Guinea pigs are also born very precocial, which means they're covered in hair already. They have their eyes open and their ears open, which might sound weird, but most rodents, when they're born, don't jump off the cliff, buddy. Most rodents, once they're born, they're hairless, they can't see, and they can't hear. So that's what we call altricial in the animal world. Guinea pigs are the opposite. They are precocial. They're born with hair, they can see, and they can hear right away. So they're born very, very old, so they're larger, or old. No, they're not born old. They're born more developed, is what I meant to say. And so they're a little bit of a larger rodent. So I would say probably anywhere from 1, they can have 1, or they could have, I want to guess to be like 7 at the most. That would be a huge litter for guinea pigs. That is definitely something to look up. I am not a guinea pig breeder whatsoever. I have no experience. Average litter size I know is usually about 3 or 4, like 2 to 4, something like that. They don't have a ton of babies at once, but they are able to reproduce very early in their life though. Here's another great question. Why do you need 2 of them, not just 1? Guinea pigs get very lonely. They are just like people. They don't like to be isolated and alone. They are very, very social. They talk to each other with vocalizations. Come here, buddy. Don't leave. They talk to each other with vocalizations. They need the company of other guinea pigs. It is recommended from the powers that be that you at least have 2 guinea pigs. They can be separate, but in a cage next to each other so they can at least talk to each other. That's how vital it is for them to have the company of another guinea pig. Very, very, very recommended. And it's a lot easier because you're not having to keep up with them all the time and keep them company 24/7. They're going to have a friend. So they're just very social. It's just kind of the right thing to do. Yeah. Every now and then, like I said, you'll have a guinea pig that just doesn't like other guinea pigs, but that doesn't mean that they can't be in the company of other guinea pigs, just like in the same room. They can talk to each other. That makes sense? But yes, that is definitely a necessity with guinea pigs. They just won't be happy alone. They're just not a kind of animal that does well by themselves. That is a great question. Okay, let's see Dexter one more time before we say goodbye to our guinea pigs completely. Oh, and then we will switch animal species, and then we will say goodbye. So again, this is Iggy, and this is Dexter. Iggy's like, where are the snacks? An American guinea pig who is all black, and a broken white and red Peruvian guinea pig, and he's just wonderful. They're both wonderful. I think he's so pretty. Look at little Dexter. He's so cute. Want to see him closer? Oh my goodness, he's so cute. He looks like a little puppy. All right. What other questions do you guys have? Make sure and answer all of y'all's questions. If I don't get to each and every question, don't worry. I always go back and answer them by commenting on your questions as well in your comments. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Okay, let me go ahead and get ready with our next animal because I need to take this away and put these guys away temporarily. And I'll get ready with our next animal. I'll be right back in a flash. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your patience. This is a one-woman show, so I have to kind of do everything myself. I'm going to wash my hands because I've been handling rodents. I'm going to use some hand sanitizer really fast. You guys have had excellent questions today, and thank you so much for joining in with us. It is always fun. Remember, our shows are free, but you can donate via Venmo or the Cash App. That info is scrolling down below, as you can see. You can also donate to our cause via our Amazon wish list, which is found at onceinawild.com. Easy to find. Okay, I think I'm ready. I'm going to get ready for our last animal. This happens to be another carnivore, a very tiny carnivore. Remember, we met the leopard gecko first. That's a carnivore and insectivore. We met the guinea pigs, who are herbivores. They only eat grass and plants and things. In the care of humans, a guinea pig should have hay as most of their diet and grazing all the time. And they should also have some vegetables, occasional fruits. Guinea pigs also need vitamin C. I forgot to mention that. You can either give them vitamin C, like an oral vitamin, or you can do the easy thing and buy guinea pig pellets that are high quality, and that's going to give you your vitamin C supplements through their pellets. But that is very important for them. So that's what they eat in the care of humans. But guinea pigs out in the wild eat plants and mostly grass for a living. This animal right here does not eat grass. She's a very different animal than a mammal or a lizard. I'm gonna get her ready. She's a little bit wiggly today. Who is that? Oh my goodness, we have a scorpion. She's got a little bit of debris on her from her substrate here. This is Xena, the African flat rock scorpion. Can you see her? Is she in focus? Let me know. Sometimes our camera doesn't know where to look. Oh, I see what's up. There we go. This is Xena, the African flat rock scorpion from Africa. Now, this species is found in South Africa in very, very warm desert type areas. And they are nocturnal. So we met two crepuscular animals, right? Although the guinea pig is a domestic species, they're not technically crepuscular. They're kind of just up all the time, up and down, taking naps here and there throughout the day. Guinea pigs sleep about 4 hours a day, and they're up about 20 hours a day. So they're up a lot. I wish I had that much energy. But this is a definite nocturnal animal. In fact, most scorpions all over the world, there's scorpions all over the world except for one continent, and that is Antarctica. And scorpions are found all over the place, and they usually come out at night. Xena is an animal that mostly come out at night. In fact, they're pretty much only coming out at night. And that is because their environment where they live is very hot. So during the day, they're going to be way too hot to come out. And during the night, it cools off enough so they can come out comfortably. During the day, they're going to hide underneath flat rocks and other places. And hence the name African flat rock scorpion. These guys can make their bodies very, very flat. They can also climb a little bit. So she'll do it a little bit. See if I hold my hand up like that, she kind of just sticks to my hand. They can climb up kind of flat rock surfaces as well and go underneath tree limbs or whatever happens to be around, but usually rocks. And they're going to come out at night to hunt. These guys are active hunters when they feel like hunting. Now, these guys do not eat very often. Scorpions eat here about once a week. My scorpions do. I have several of them. But out there in the wild, they're going to eat about, I would say about 2 or so times a month, depending on how big of a meal they're going to get. They are not a animal that has a fast metabolism like a guinea pig, eating all day long and grazing on grasses and things. These guys will eat a big meal and then they can rest for a long time. They digest very slowly. They grow very slowly. This type of animal will live very long. Out of the 3 animals that we met today, the leopard gecko, the guinea pig, and the scorpion is by far the longest lived animal. I'm going to see if you guys can actually guess how long this species of scorpion, the African flat rock scorpion, without cheating, don't look it up. See if you guys can guess how long they can live. Male and female both have very long life expectancies, which is unusual with arachnids. A lot of arachnids, your females live longer than males. When I'm talking about arachnids, for example, I'm talking about spiders and scorpions, for example. But for scorpions, most scorpions, male and female, have a similar life expectancy. So males and females will both have a long life, which is great. I don't know Xena's age because I received her as an adult, but Xena is a wonderful mother animal. She actually had 39 babies shortly after we acquired her. She was very, very fat, and I thought, maybe she has babies inside of her, and I was right. When scorpions are born, they are live-born. They don't come from eggs. And then they're white as well. They haven't hardened their exoskeleton yet. Since they are invertebrates, they don't have a skeleton like the 2 other animals we met, the lizard and the guinea pigs are both vertebrates. They have backbones and an entire skeleton. Invertebrates, like arachnids, scorpions, don't have a skeleton, so they have a hard outer shell instead. But when they're born as babies, say they have 40 babies, like she had 39, I'm just going to round it up to 40. Those 40 babies will be white, and their exoskeleton will harden over the next couple of weeks. But until they are hardened, they are very vulnerable to the elements and to predators, and they're not safe. So mom will actually take them and put them on their backs and carry them around in a little group together for safety, right? Where are you going? To get back up here on my hand so everybody can see you. Ugh. And she will take care of them for those couple of weeks until they are ready to go on their own when their exoskeleton hardens. In the meantime, she will keep them on her back, like I said, in a little cluster together for safety. And she will feed them food that she catches and mushes up for them and feeds them like baby food. She'll kind of put it on her back to feed them, and then with her claws. And she will also make sure they have enough moisture that way as well. So usually they get the moisture that they need from their food. That is going to be where they resource that. These guys don't need a ton of water to drink, but those bugs that they eat, like roaches and crickets and worms and other scorpions and spiders, all kinds of things that they can eat, those have moisture within them, and that's going to give them the moisture they need. Isn't that cool? That comes from also being a desert animal. Usually desert animals have very, very handy ways to stay hydrated despite being in a dry area. Okay, let's see. You guys have some questions and comments? Forgive me while I scroll through while holding a scorpion at the same time. It's the talent. Yes, it is. Okay. Oh, thank you for saying the guinea pigs were so cute. I think so too. Iggy is so cute. Oh, here we go. Somebody looked this up for me. Online it says that the guinea pigs can have 3 to 4 babies typically, but sometimes 13. 13 would be a huge litter of guinea pigs. I've never heard of such a thing. So I was a little bit wrong. So thank you for looking that up for me. Again, I've never bred them myself, and I was a little bit right? 3 to 4 is typical. Yep. But they are larger. Man, that would be a huge litter. Is she trained? Are you asking about the scorpion here? I would say yes. I guess she's the only she that's been out here. So yes, you're asking about scorpion. The rest of them boys. So yes, she's a little bit trained to sit still and kind of just tolerate my handling. Xena is a very, very mild-mannered scorpion. And this species is known for being pretty docile, so it's not super hard to train her. Now, sometimes she has her bad days where she's just not in the mood to be handled. She just doesn't like it, and how she shows me that is by avoiding when I'm going to go pick her up. She'll just move away from me. She might go hide underneath something, etc. Now, when she had her babies, that's the one and only time that she tried to pinch me with her claws. These guys have claws, right? Because they're scorpions. She was being a protective mama when she had her babies on her back, and she did not want me harming her babies, so she tried to pinch me. But any animal can be trained, at least to tolerate handling, just like the leopard gecko, even the guinea pigs too, and the scorpion. I hope that you're not too scared. Scorpions, for the most part, are harmless to humans. They can, of course, sting you. This type of scorpion is harmless to humans completely. I have been stung by another African flat rock scorpion, the same species as Xena, before, and it was almost nothing. It kind of like barely felt like anything at all. Super mild venom. If you look at a scorpion and see they have large claws like this species, that tells you that they have very, very mild venom, most likely. So she has a long skinny tail with a tiny stinger by comparison to the rest of her body, and big giant claws. Those big giant claws are what she uses to pinch and grab and squash her food before she can eat it. So that's why she doesn't need a whole lot of venom, because her venom is mostly used to subdue their prey. So in other scorpions that have big fat tails and slender claws, it's going to tell you they have a lot of venom in their tail and stinger, of course. And that's going to tell you that they have a lot of strength in their tail to be able to not just pin their prey down when they'll grab it with their claws, but then they'll use their tail to kind of squash their stinger into it and sting them, and then pump venom into their prey. And that prey will then become subdued and liquefied for them so they can eat them. Pretty cool. It's like a pre-digestion. Thank you for saying that I'm brave. These guys don't bother me at all. Some scorpions will sting you and it would hurt, so I wouldn't handle a scorpion like that necessarily. But I know this type of scorpion is pretty much harmless. Even her pinches are pretty mild too. 15 years is a great guess, and Ricky has a great guess as well. Very, very good. Molly also has a wonderful guess on their life expectancy. 49, I love that exact number. That is very, very good. 5 years is another great guess. 50 years is another great guess. You guys are fantastic. Thank you for guessing. So this species here can live about 30 years. So Ricky was right. You guys were pretty close. I'm rounding it out a little bit. So not quite 50. But 30 years is a pretty long time for a bug, right? Or an arachnid. So when we talk about arachnids, we're going to switch her around so she's a little bit, so I'm a little bit more comfortable holding her. We have to make our animals comfortable and also our Handler's comfortable sometimes, right? That's me. I want to make sure everything's good. So when we talk about arachnids are spiders and scorpions are great examples. Both of those guys have two body parts. So they have their cephalothorax, which is kind of this section here where her head is, kind of a head and head and midsection combined, cephalothorax. And then she's got her abdomen, which is the rest of her main body part. She's got her tail, right? And a stinger, because she's a scorpion. Scorpions have stingers and tails. But not all arachnids have tails, right? So spiders don't have tails. They have spinnerets to make web instead. But all arachnids have 8 legs and 2 arm-like appendages. On a scorpion, their arm-like appendages are their claws. The technical name for their claws is pedipalps, which is such a random word, but it's their claws. And on a scorpion, they're highly developed with great big claws to be able to use like a hand. When they find a prey item like a roach, for example, they're going to grab it with their claws and just start eating it. Their mouth is very specialized. They have 2 kind of like claw-like mouth projections. I know it's really hard to see. Something to look up. And they kind of just start crunching on their food. They have a lot of juicy saliva that they use to kind of liquefy their food as they eat it. I mentioned that these guys do sting their prey sometimes. Not every scorpion stings their prey, but the ones that do, they have the venom, and that helps subdue their prey too. Pretty awesome. Yep, a little bit too much, but that's okay. It's okay to learn, right? We're always learning. I'm always learning too. Just like we just learned about the guinea pig litter size. I didn't know that. That's one of my favorite things about this job is not just teaching you guys, but I never stop learning either. So it's never a dull day when you're an animal specialist, right? Now, scorpions are often misunderstood. Rodents are often misunderstood. And sometimes people don't like reptiles like lizards, which makes me... I don't understand that, but we want to make sure and leave our wildlife alone to do their job. Scorpions are really great for the environment because they eat a lot of insects like pesky cockroaches and flies and all kinds of things. And it helps to keep the population of insects in check because insects are very numerous. And if they're allowed to just breed and breed and breed, we have way too many insects and potentially more diseases and things. So we should be thankful when we see scorpions and spiders too. Spiders are very, very helpful for the environment. And the less of those populations we have of those other pesky bugs, the less diseases we have. We want to make sure to have the less diseases, the better, right? Nowadays, especially. So we should appreciate our hunting animals, our carnivores in the food chain for keeping those populations in check. That is very important. Okay, does anybody have any other questions about the scorpion? I'm going to continue to talk about her. Scorpions do have hair, which I find amazing because usually we think of hair, we think of mammals like Iggy and Dexter, the guinea pigs, and humans, we have hair, but scorpions also have hair. Can you see their hairs? It's a little bit hard to see on this species. She's like, I'll show you my hair. But they're covered in little fine hairs. And you guys know that tarantulas and other spiders have hairs. And their hairs are used for sensory purposes, not necessarily for like thermoregulation, because these guys are not warm-blooded animals. They're cold-blooded animals, or ectothermic. They're not endothermic like us. So it's not for thermoregulation, it's for sensory purposes. So they're going to use their hairs to sense vibrations of a moth flying by in the air. Believe it or not, these guys can sense vibrations and the wings of a moth flying, for example, and they can grab them right out of midair and eat them. Isn't that amazing? These guys can also sense things on the ground. If an animal walks by or moves by, they can sense that animal with their sense of touch. Same thing with the spider. Spiders use their sense of touch to hunt as well. But yeah, they're covered in hair. Isn't that cool? She is such a fantastic arachnid. I love her. Well, you guys have been a fantastic audience. I hope you guys have enjoyed our program today. We're going a little overtime, so I'm going to go ahead and start closing. If you've enjoyed what you liked, if you've enjoyed what you've seen today here on our animal program, feel free to donate or tip to us via Venmo, which is at Once in a While. The last 4 of our phone number, in case it asks, is 5240. And also our Cash App is up as well, so you can donate with the $ Once in a While is how you find us there. If you can't donate, that's okay. I just like to throw that out there just in case. It helps us out, of course, especially during these hard times, as well as our Amazon wish list. That's another great way to gift to us. You can go to our website, which is onceinaWhile.com, scroll all the way to the bottom and click that donate button, which will take you right to our Amazon wish list. That's a great fun way to shop online for our critters like Xena, the scorpion, Iggy and Dexter, the guinea pigs, and Felix, the leopard gecko. They all appreciate that very, very much when you guys donate to our cause. That's really, really fun. I tend to open the gifts on social media of some kind, so I usually do a little live stream on Instagram or something like that, showing an unboxing video if I get gifts. That's really fun. You guys are so fun as always and so fantastic. It's really great to see each and every one of you out there, and I hope you have enjoyed the show. Let me know if you have any other questions, and chime in with your favorite animals down below and any other suggestions you have for our program. We're always open to suggestions. We're always trying to figure out new things that we can talk about or new animals that we can, maybe even just bring up, even if they're not live animals here. We always like to have live animals on the program, of course, but sometimes it's nice to talk about other animals that people enjoy learning about. So let me know if you guys have any suggestions of any kind. We're going to start theming our programs a little bit more specifically very soon. And please stay tuned for our new schedule change, which isn't happening yet, but will be happening soon. We're going to be moving our live stream shows to a different day, and we'll let you know exactly when that's going to happen. So stay tuned. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube to know when we are going live. It'll let you know. On YouTube, you want to subscribe, you want to like the video, comment, and ring the bell if you don't want to miss any videos that we post. We have a lot of videos on YouTube, and we are posting all kinds of videos on there all the time. So please stay tuned, and we'll see you next time. Been a lot of fun, as always. And let's go ahead and get rid of this. Uh-oh, I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. Left-handed this time. This is my right hand. Here we go. Okay, guys, you've been a wonderful audience as always. We'll see you next time. You guys have been wonderful as always. We'll catch you next time. We'll see you guys on Monday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. See you then.